The U.S. tech brain drain. So first of all, I hear a lot of optimism from, UK politicians or UK chief executives that say, we may be able to attract a lot of the big talent. Is it a bit too soon, or can we start seeing it?
I think it's always difficult for governments to attract technologists into the civil service, whether it's in the U.S. or in the UK, because you have this much greater lure of higher salaries and great benefits in the private sector. So I think in hearing about these cuts happening in the U.S., these were already difficult people to hire. They're sort of there because they're patriotic or out of goodwill, and they're giving up much higher paydays. And at the same time, I think it could represent a potential dialing back of the progress that the U.S. is making, like just bringing online government services online. That's potentially going to slow down. But again, it really depends on how these departments enact the cuts, because what we've most recently heard is that Donald Trump has said, ultimately the department leaders will have the final say on what the cuts are, almost kind of framing DOGE's cuts as guidance and suggestions. So we have to see how that plays out. There is this report that the AI Safety Institute in the U.S. could be cut, and that could certainly be a problem.
Parmy, when you look at what's being cut in the U.S., when will we have a clear idea if this also hurts innovation? So this is, it touches safety. I guess it touches regulation.
Yeah.
It could also stifle innovation going forward, especially if it touches universities.
Actually, I don't think the AI Safety Institute isn't a regulator, and they do safety testing on AI models, but it's not mandatory. So companies like Google and OpenAI would be legally in the clear to completely ignore the AI Safety Institute. So I don't think there's really any argument that division could stifle innovation in any way. However, removing it would get rid of one of the very few checks and balances that we have on the very rapid AI advancement that we're seeing today. Currently, tech companies are operating in a regulatory vacuum. There's no regulation. There are these kind of voluntary commitments that they could make. So in a way, that leaves Europe to be the sole major regulator, and the UK, which has its own AI Safety Institute. And there's a few other AI Safety Institutes that have cropped up in other countries as well, like Singapore and Australia.
Parmy, what can you tell us about the Mistral chief executive that is quite bold, saying he could also outperform DeepSeek?
Yes, I mean, we'll have to see their model when it comes out. But I think what he's saying is actually just emblematic of the open source field, which is that open source models are built on other models. And that's kind of the beauty of that market, which is that the work isn't proprietary. It's open for anyone else to build on, which actually is what OpenAI, when they started almost 10 years ago, they were originally going to be open. They actually became much more closed over the years. And DeepSeek, when they released their model, they put the blueprints on the internet. So you can be sure that folks at Meta and Google are copying those blueprints and building on that too. So we're seeing a more dynamic market, which is a good thing.